Listen, when you start, you think you know how to run a business. And you might have a lot of experience. But until it's your own, it's still a magnitude off.
The tractors are 158,000 pounds by themselves. It takes two of them side by side.
You don't have a job. It's not a singular position. It's not one thing you're focused on. You need to have some sort of plan as far as like what you're working on tomorrow, but tomorrow's also going to tell you what you're working on. I'm a crackhead for this. This is what I want to do. Like, my dream job is getting back to working on the floor building jacks, not doing paperwork. That's all a byproduct of what I love. This is why I started the business. If I didn't have the businesses and instead I had the money, would I enjoy the beach? Sure. But if you have the business, I can't see the beach being more fun, right?
Cool. Yeah, good deal. Thanks, man.
So even if I could, why would I? Them supporting that as a accountable business operator.
Good. Well, here we go.
Presence.
On it.
The moods,
The juice.
setting the tone, all the stuff we talked about with the president in the country. Like, how can you do that from the beach? How can you set the mood from the beach? How can you call from the beach relaxed and say, guys, today's not a day that we can relax. We got to push because some shit needs to go out because it's Friday. I schedule every single night when I'm laying in bed. I got to check with the guys. I'm going to go around the shop, see what everyone's been up to the last 2 weeks that I was here. I've got a sales meeting at 8:30 Eastern. I need to get a company event scheduled. I think we're going to go to the Tampa Bay Lightnings. I've been working on that for the last couple of weeks. We're going to rent a suite there. And I'm building a lavatory cart. Do I define my position? You can't. Because, like, you don't have a job. It's not a singular position. It's not one thing you're focused on. You need to have some sort of plan as far as like what you're working on tomorrow, but tomorrow's also going to tell you what you're working on. Sometimes it's helping people get a bolt loose that's stuck, and sometimes it's sitting back planning, you know, but it's just kind of like, I don't know, run towards a gunfire or whatever the day needs from you. That's your job. And the people who try to define their positions fail. My question for them is always, when you say it's not my job to clean the toilet, I just ask, how's that working for you? Something tells me that you probably don't have all the employees that you wish you had. Something tells me that you're laying around trying to hire people to get better talent when, like, the reality is you probably just sweep your floors.
On it. Yeah, I already took it off. Yeah, okay. Yeah, just do the hand pump pressure test. That's fine. Good? Here we go.
Yeah.
The juice.
I watched something the other day and it was like, never compromise 8 hours of sleep. And I'm like, dude, 8 hours of sleep? And I'm like wiry as fuck. You don't want to meet me after 8 hours of sleep. I need like 6.5, 7. It all works differently. Like, it just all works. The reason I say it all works is just a matter of like what you want to get out of it. If you want to get to the point where you have 30 employees, you can do that in the first year. You can wait 30 years to do that. And everybody's got a different mission, man. Like, some people want to grow this as soundly as they can over the course of the next 30 years. And there's other companies that, you know, I wanted to, I don't want to say make a name for myself. I didn't give a fuck about people hearing about me, but I wanted to be successful, right? Because like when you first start out, dude, you're butt naked. Like you have nothing except for risk. And you want to get as far away from that as you can, as fast as you can. I had talked about this a little bit earlier, like, you know, people say, oh, you know, don't rush it, you need to relax, businesses don't turn profit for whatever 5 years, they don't even last. I'm like, well, good, fuck them. I don't want to be that, man. So everybody has a different trajectory. They could do that. They could say, hey, I know that I have risk. I've only been in business for 3 months, but I'm very confident and I'm slow moving and I want to grow this thing over 30 years. You can do that too. It's just all a matter of like what you want to get out of it today. There is no such thing as only this way works or only that way works. It's only this way works in this given situation. There would be a very specific way to do things if I had 3 kids. I can stand in the break room like we talked about, and I can advocate for one way of living because it resulted in this, right? Likewise, I could stand there and completely fabricate my whole bullshit and tell you that you need to drink a gallon of water every day, you need to work out for 45 minutes, but not an hour, because if you were working out for an hour, you were talking at the gym, it should only be 45 minutes. It should be very, like, it definitely requires a lot of your time and you have to study and like all of those different things. But the reality is every day I feel like I'm skipping across the river hoping I don't slip on the next rock. But like so much of this is luck, man. I know people who did everything that they should have and their business just didn't work out.
And double check that it's coming from my GSD area.
So like the phone is, in many businesses, the phone is ringing 24/7, especially at GSC America, like because I'm the backup, right? The phone does ring 24/7 because you can get a flight on Christmas Day. People are obviously slinging bags on Christmas Day, belt loaders are breaking on Christmas Day. It just kind of meets my front door. It just is what it is. And you might think that GSC America, that I experience that more, but it's actually ProServe. They're really operating around the clock, man. Aircraft wheel. These are off of Gulfstream 550. When this guy touches down and says, I need a wheel, that could be on Saturday at 8 p.m. So the closer you get to the aircraft, the more critical things are. I like to think of this as GSE, and I'm proud of this, but like we're the nobodies of the industry, man. You have pilots, you got people working on the plane. I fix their tools. Oh, I always say I'm a proud nobody, dude.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll leave this earth and nobody will have fucking heard of me and it'll just be fine. It doesn't matter. Like another concept I come across in a book long ago is like, you don't need to be Walmart. You need to be Walmart's crumbs. Eat up the shit that they don't want to do. If you just listen, like every excuse in the world why shit isn't getting done, just be the guy that does it. It's kind of like the you know, if you want something bad enough, you'll find a way, and if you don't, you'll find an excuse. Just listen to everybody else's excuses and go do that. I think that there's a lot of that can be optimized in the trades, whether it's carpentry, plumbing, whatever. Like, get your shit together, then show up to the job. So like if you're a blue collar guy, polish your shit up and learn how to be a little bit of white collar so you can get through the meetings. If you're white collar, whatever your profession, dip into blue collar so that you kind of get in a little bit of the both, you know. That's all we did here. We did not invent ground support equipment repair or restoration. I'm only 36 years old. This shit was here before me. We didn't invent anything here. I was just kind of like, hey, let's get a group of guys who are passionate about aviation, who like to brush their teeth on their own. I don't have to tell them to. They prefer nice vehicles. They understand that I could go to the dealership right now and get some shit box with crank windows, and they can leave wrappers all over the dash looking like a county vehicle. But I get people who are like, no, I'd rather have a Lariat with navigation and keep it nice and go to the corporate flight department and just kind of like fit that mission. People will complain about work, but give me 3 things you enjoy doing more. Tell me 3 things you can do 40 hours a week. I fucking love riding Harleys, but not 50 hours a week. I like getting laid, but not 50 hours a week. So give me 3 things that you would do without complaining about them in a year, more than this. Can't be done. What's important is that you find some work that you enjoy doing, right? Like the subject matter has to be interesting. Again, I say it, I couldn't do the baby stroller thing. Yeah, you risk everything for sure, and then you sacrifice probably half of that. Sacrifice isn't always something I'm trying to avoid. It's just something I'm trying to understand. When that shit lands on your door, you better have seen it coming or welcomed it in some minority capacity, something like that. It shouldn't completely surprise you. I think that risk is like what most people focus on, unfortunately, but risk is just like perceived pain. Risk is I might fail. Unfortunately, you don't get to find out about sacrifice until you've accepted the risk. You say, yes, I will take on those risks. Sacrifice is what you're hoping that you don't experience. Sacrifice is what you're betting you will avoid if you win. Sacrifice is what you experience if you're wrong. Measuring the outcomes is really what you're after. You know, the longer you play the game, the more outcomes you get to monitor, and then you can repeat the positive ones and avoid the negative ones. So yeah, you're probably wrong a lot, but I always tell people, like, you know, they're oftentimes afraid to make decisions, and I'm like, hey, if you want to get good at making decisions, start by making any fucking decision. Like, make any decision. I don't have outlandish ideas. I'm not like, hey, what's the risk of me jumping off this building? You know what I mean? It's all stuff that I know I'm in control of. I'm always betting on myself, you know, and largely other people, right? But like the idea, the concept of can I get out of it? I'm always betting on myself in those situations. I think that people, like, they get in a situation and they think I'm going to risk peace. And in business, you should probably bet on it. I think it's safe to bet on losing most things. I spend a lot of time measuring and analyzing what I am willing to lose. Therefore, I'm okay with my sacrifice before I even enter risk. And sometimes I never have to give it up. There's been a lot of times where I'm in a situation, I'm thinking to myself, Like, I knew where I was willing to hurt myself, aside from the opponent or situation, whatever. And because I take on that mentality and I understand what I'm willing to lose, sometimes I never even face it. You know, sometimes I'm halfway through a situation and I'm like, man, I'm already getting what I want out of it. Like if it's a negotiation or something, and I haven't even started hurting myself yet. I haven't even started sacrificing the things that I said I was willing to. What's up, babe?
Hey.
I haven't talked to my wife today. Like, we don't make it, it's not our priority to call each other as soon as we wake up. We wake up and we immediately respond to the email, the text, and the phone, and whatever else. Good morning, by the way. So you kind of like, maybe don't sacrifice, but you definitely reprioritize there for sure. I've sacrificed, you know, everything else that everybody wants. You know, everybody is like, I ask, what are you doing on Friday? Oh, I'm gonna use my grill on Saturday, and I'm drooling about the same thing, but I sacrifice that. I don't use the grill, I don't have cats, I don't have dogs, I don't have, like in Wisconsin, I don't even have a couch. Like, you walk into our apartment and there's 2 screens. You go home from work and you sit down at those 2 screens just like the ones that you were at during the day. I've always got my list of no's, things that I am consciously, at least at the time, okay with deprioritizing. You know, vacation is not a priority for me right now. Kids are not a priority over business for me right now. I think about this all the time. What if I didn't buy ProServe? Think about how big GSE America would be right now. You don't get to know. So I don't spend a lot of time like weighing the different outcomes. I weigh the outcome of the one that I played and I go, well, it worked or it didn't, and I go another round. You know, but to start like sitting around regretting or the different, like when you move a piece on the chessboard, you can think to yourself, oh, I should have done that differently. They move their piece and you get more data, right? Like you find the outcome, but you have no way of knowing how moving that one piece is gonna predict the next 10 moves. You don't get to know that type of shit. So it's impossible to say if I would have moved that one piece differently. That's not true. Yeah. I could sit here and say, well, if I didn't buy ProServe Aviation, GSE America would be so much bigger than what it is right now. Right. Okay, but if I didn't buy ProServe, half the customers wouldn't have heard about us. We gained access to capital. Like, there's so much shit that happened because of ProServe. And then 3 years later, when it starts going good, you go, oh man, what happens if we wouldn't have bought it? Then what? Fuck that. You have no time for that. Right. It doesn't make sense to think that way at all. You can think all the time, oh man, if I hadn't started this business, things wouldn't have gone this well for me. Dude, I don't know, if I stayed back at the last job that I was working as hard as I was for them, yeah, and I stayed for another 9 years, yeah, I have no clue where that would have gone. Yeah. You don't get to know. My number one rule in any of it, no matter what you're doing, I just try to always make it so that like if I did pass away for whatever reason suddenly, everything in my life, everything that I have put in place would continue or could. That's it.